welcome to today's podcast. We are so glad you are here. Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 reasons why people fail at business and entrepreneurship. Hey, welcome to today's podcast. So we're talking about 3 reasons people fail at business or entrepreneurship. And this can be any kind of business. It can be anything from, it can be anything from a podcast, a YouTube channel. It can be affiliate marketing.
A podcast a business?
It can be.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
Affiliate marketing. It can be MLM or multi-level marketing.
That's a business too.
It is. SaaS software, as a service. It could be.
That one makes sense.
It could be coaching. It could be selling courses. It could be a mom and pop store, like in person. It can be anything. And so we're going to talk about these 3 big reasons why people fail. Because you hear these statistics all the time that say, I don't even know what they are. Like what percentages of businesses that start every year fail?
Isn't it like 70% or 80%?
It's a lot.
I don't remember.
I mean, you can look it up on Google. I just didn't look it up, but it's more than half, right? So, here's 3 reasons why they might fail. Okay, the first one is this: you treat your business like a hobby, not like a business.
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting. So I think that it's okay to treat your business like a hobby to start with. That's my thought.
No, I disagree.
If you have a 9 to 5, I think it's okay as a hobby at the beginning until.
What do you consider a hobby though? How do you treat a hobby versus how do you treat a business? And does it matter if you treat it like a part-time business or a full-time business? Still shouldn't be a hobby. It should be a business.
Okay. All right. You heard me here, right? I came into this half prepared.
Well, that's not my fault, is it?
I know.
Did you treat it like a hobby, not a business?
Apparently. So, no, but I think that it's okay to treat it as a hobby as you're getting started, right? And then, well, if you're not looking for speed, I think it's okay. I know you're just going to beat me with the no like this whole time, but I think that it's okay. And then,
but is it okay to quit a hobby?
No, I guess it is okay. You're killing me. I think it is okay to quit a hobby, but that's not my point.
But if you're treating it like a hobby, then it's okay to quit.
All right, you're beating me badly today. Okay, let me finish. And then
you all didn't know you were here for a debate. Here you go.
We're here for the debate. So let me
go
finish.
ahead and put in the chat what you think. Is it okay to treat it like a hobby?
So you can beat me, and then we'll go on with all the other points. So I think it's okay to start as a hobby, right? And then if you have any kind of success at all, then it needs to change rapidly from there. So I think it's okay to start slower, right? Especially if you have...
I would agree with you that it's okay to start slower. It's okay to have a side business or side hustle. However, I would still argue that you need to mentally think of it different. So, for example, when I first started, I used to say, I actually started with MLM stuff, right? I used to sell essential oils, doTERRA stuff, right? You guys have seen that before, right? And people would ask me, what do you do? And I would be like, oh, yeah, well, I just kind of tell people about this stuff. I'm into holistic and natural health stuff. And in my head,
which was a non-answer. If you didn't know, she didn't actually answer the question.
It's because I was treating it like a hobby. I didn't want to commit that I was actually trying to start a business, and I shouldn't use the word trying. I was not actually my intention was not to start a business and be successful at that business. And so therefore I treated it like a hobby, and the results I got was a hobby result.
Gotcha.
So I think it's more of a mindset than it is anything else. It's not about the amount of time. It's about the mindset behind it.
Gotcha. So hobby is the wrong word. You are correct. I will concede that.
Yes.
That
you all
hobby,
saw it. Yeah. I won.
Okay.
Just say.
She won. Hobby is not the correct word. You can have a side hustle for a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. You can have a side. You may decide that you want to stay in your job because you love your job, but you want something on the side where you get to have a creative outlet or you get to make some extra money. And I don't believe there's anything wrong with that at all. And that is right for some people. So you are correct. The amount of time you spend may differ depending on what your outputs that you desire, depending on the outcome you desire. So,
I think once you start to have some general success, though, I think there's a need to start treating it like a business, not like a side hustle.
It's going to be stagnant if you don't, because it won't grow. You will be a bottleneck, and it will stop growing if you don't.
Right.
So you are correct in that sense.
Yeah.
So did we agree to agree to disagree to
sure,
agree?
You had fun beating me, so it's all good. So,
but you have a valid point. Anyways, on to point number 2. I hope you enjoyed that little
Here's
debate.
second place consolation for you. You had a valid point.
Okay, so the second thing is this, that people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10. And that is a Tony Robbins saying. I believe it was Tony Robbins that somebody probably said it to Tony Robbins and then he made it famous. I don't know. But think about it this way. If you go into something and you say, well, in a year, you have these expectations in your mind of like, in a year, I'm going to make like $100,000 or $1 million or $2 million or whatever your expectations are, and you fall short of that, then you go, oh man, this isn't working. And what you mean is it's not working the way I thought it would work, and you stop. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that you have to gain momentum. And we've talked about this before. And momentum is the hardest part.
It is.
It's like the hardest process. And it's what happens in the first year. And so often the very first year or two, it depends on the person and how long, like side
how much of a hobby it is. I mean, a side hustle.
Anyways, it depends. But that first part is oftentimes all the, Myron Golden calls it the gravitropic work, or the stuff that's like
gravitropic.
That's what I said.
No, you didn't.
Did I say it wrong?
Yes.
Gravitropic.
Gravitropic.
That's what I said.
You got to write that down. Good job.
Anyways, all the underneath stuff that doesn't result in the fruit or the outcome you desire, which often is money, right? But here's what happens. It's like, what is it? Like those bell curve things? It's like the bell curve.
Exponential growth?
That one.
Bell curve comes back down. You don't want
the bell curve. You want the exponential growth ones. He would be the math person. Anyways, but that's the one you want. So it starts slower, but then once you pick up the momentum, then it takes off. So That's what he means by
exponential growth. What?
You underestimate what you can do in a year and overestimate what you can do in a year and underestimate what you can do in 10. Indeed. Do you want to debate me on that one, or are we good?
No, I think that one's very spot on. And I think people undervalue the fact that if you commit to doing a thing instead of commit to an outcome, it's a lot easier journey. So
absolutely. And so the third one is that you need to that so often people one of the reasons they fail is because they compare their journey to someone else's journey. And so you see what somebody else is doing, you see the success somebody else is having, and then you may decide, hey, I'm going to give up because obviously I can't do it as well as they can. You sense the sarcasm in my voice.
There's a little bit. That's what that was? That was sarcasm?
But the point being is you need to not compare. Like, when you compare with other people, it is going to hinder your ability to perform. And so And so be very careful of that trap, because it is a trap. So be very careful with that. So those are the 3 things that people do often, mistakes that they make to make them fail in any kind of business, side hustle or not side hustle or any type. But here are 3 things quickly that you can do to avoid those and stay on path. Okay. So the first is become obsessed. You've talked about it before, obsessed and becoming obsessed. And part of being obsessed is falling in love with the journey, which means that you are willing to do the journey even if the outcome isn't what you desire right away. And you're willing to be consistent with the activity or the input that you need to do in order to stay on that path and to be in love with that journey, even when it's going to get boring, guys.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna get like I don't want to do this today,
or you're gonna feel defeated. I think that one is probably the most most freeing for me. Is like, okay, well, yeah, it might not be working the way I want it to, or whatever, but as long as I continue to do this activity, it will get better. I will get better at the activity and all those things. So
and that's the journey.
That is the journey, but if you focus on, like, if you commit to that input or that thing, and instead of the output, I think it's just so much easier to accomplish those tasks then.
Absolutely. So that's the first thing. The second thing you can do is instead of comparing yourself, compete against yourself. You were a runner, which is one of the ultimate sports for competing against yourself and not comparing yourself with your teammates, right?
Well,
you still
there's still a little bit of a competition, right? Like you don't want to be the number 2 guy, right? Like you want to be the fastest on the team.
But the biggest thing is to compete against yourself.
Oh yeah, but when you run, right? Even if I come in third place in a race, right? Like we go to a meet and you come in third place. Well, if you PR, like third place doesn't feel that bad.
Can you explain what PR is for those of us who don't know?
Yeah, so personal record, right?
I was not a runner.
No, so a PR is personal record or PB. I think some people call it PB, but I like PR better because it just sounds better.
If you're in third place but you're PR, then it was a good day.
Right, like if you knock 3 seconds off your best time or whatever and you still come in third, well, okay, I didn't come in first, but I still achieved something. I'm still, progressing forward.
But if you came in third place and it was your worst time in the last 3 months, you probably feel pretty bad about that meet.
Well, at least you know that you didn't have a good day, right? Like you have some kind of like scale to compare yourself against you, which you're only comparing yourself.
Right.
I mean, obviously you get medals based on like how well you compete against other people, but
yeah.
So you can see the improvement still.
And that's overall, like when you're working on your own business, is you look around, there's going to be people below you, above you, better than you, worse than you. But the thing is to continue to improve yourself, to continue to compete against yourself. And then the last one is, kind of combines everything into one simple phrase, which is don't stop. Like so many people just stop. I've heard so many stories of people where they're not getting the results they want, they're not getting whatever they want, but they have momentum and they have had some success, but then they start looking around and comparing themselves to other people and they stop, they shut it down. And then guess what?
Or they shut that thing down.
Or they shut that thing down.
That they're having success with, and then they try and go do something completely different. And it's like
most often to compete with somebody else or to look like somebody else.
Right. Yeah, because they saw somebody else doing something. They're like, oh, that looks like fun. I'm going to go do that. Well, that's fine. You can just don't stop the thing that's working currently. Like,
right. And
I've seen that happen.
So I want to encourage you guys, like one of the biggest things you can do is don't stop. Okay. Continue to do the activity and you will get better, fall in love with the journey, compete with yourself. And, regardless, at the end of the day, you're going to look back in a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now, and say, oh my goodness, like look where I was, look where I am now, even if it doesn't feel like it now. And just so you guys know, one of the things, we were just talking about this the other day. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think you're going to go where I was going to go.
We were just talking the other day. We used to have a podcast like 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And we podcasted for like I don't know, it was like 2 years straight, every single week. I interviewed a bunch of people.
Yeah, because we had like 100 and some episodes.
And we talked a bunch. But we didn't do it on YouTube because we didn't know the power of YouTube then. We didn't know it was a thing. But we stopped for about 2 years. And then we started this one up, and we said to ourselves, what would have happened if we had never stopped? And I'm not going to sit there and dwell on that, but what would have happened if we had never stopped is a very interesting thought. And so I want to encourage you and encourage ourselves in things not to stop.
Yeah, for sure.
So what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I saw a clip of Jesse Itzler talking about the rule of 100.
Oh yeah.
And so if you spend 100 hours a year working on something, which is 18 minutes a day, you will be better than 95% of people.
Think about that.
95%. Are doing that thing. That's a large number.
That means think about this. If you run an e-com store and you do that thing 19 minutes a day and you focus on learning about it 19 minutes a day, you will be better than 95% of all other e-com stores.
Which is crazy.
Think about that. So with that being said, rule of 100, keep it in mind, keep doing it. Don't stop. You got this.
You got it.
Awesome. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want to learn more, check out this next video.
Right here.
We think you're going to really love it.